Hey there, Bright Ideas fans. My name is Trent Deersman, and I'm the host of the Bright Ideas podcast, where we help you to better understand how to make your Amazon e-commerce business more of a success. And today on the show, I have with me a fellow by the name of Tim Schmoyer, who is a YouTube expert. I don't like using the word guru, but he's kind of a YouTube guru. He has worked with brands like Fox, Forbes, BBC, and even YouTube themselves. His team has helped their clients organically earn over 14 billion views and 61 million subscribers. Tim has at least 500,000 or so on his own channel, and I actually did a consulting call with Tim last week. And I learned all the things that I'm doing wrong. And I thought maybe I would be doing a little bit right, but it turns out I was doing pretty much everything wrong on YouTube. So why you want to pay attention to this particular interview, even if you're selling products on Amazon, is that you want to be able to drive traffic to your product listings. If you're talking to a manufacturer and they're saying, well, why should I pick you? Why should I authorize you? This is one of those core skills that you want to be able to say, hey, well, I actually know how to do this off of Amazon marketing activity. I know how to do it really, really well. Ideally, you've got a channel of your own as proof. And that could be the difference between you getting your account request approved or not. So with all that said, Tim's been quiet long enough. Please join me in welcoming Tim to the show. And Tim, let's start off in your own words. Who are you and what do you do?
Hey, well, thanks for having me. Yeah, so I started on YouTube back in 2006. YouTube started in 2005, and it was just like a few months later, I created my first account, and I was in graduate school halfway across the country from my family, and I'm like, oh, this might be a good way to introduce my girlfriend to my family back home. And so we started making like little videos together. Now we would know them as vlogs, but back then it was just being awkward in public with the camera. And we'd make little videos going out to movies, going out to dinner, going on playing at the park, just going on walks, like whatever. And it was just to introduce her to my family. And as we started doing this, though, I started realizing like other people are watching. Like, where are these people coming from? Why are they watching my channel? What's bringing them back? What is here that they could possibly care about? And it started me down this rabbit trail of trying to figure out the YouTube platform. And I asked other people, like, how is this working? Like, who is CatLicker69? And should I be concerned that they're watching my videos? Why do they keep commenting? And they're like, no, Tim, we don't know. But if you figure it out, let us know, because we'd love to learn it ourselves. So I love solving problems like that. Dove in, and make a long story short, it turned into a full-time thing for us pretty quickly. I was doing youth work and loved seeing life change happen in the lives of teenagers and their families, and started seeing like the same amount of stuff that we were seeing in working with people in person was actually happening on YouTube, except for in person I was working with like 180 students a week. But on YouTube at that time, our family was reaching 1 million people a month, and same stories of people whose lives were changed, and divorces that were prevented, and marriages that were healed, and people who didn't commit suicide as a result of our videos. And it was crazy. And so I'm like, this is what this platform is all about: reaching people, changing their lives, offering value, and really making the world a better place. And so turned into a small business. There's 10 of us now. I work with clients and creators, just helping them grow their audience in their YouTube and their channels on YouTube. We've helped people so far achieve 14 billion views and 61 million subscribers, and we're really proud of that and had a lot of success doing it. So it's a lot of fun.
So Tim, for my audience, what do you think YouTube would be best for them to use it for?
So for people who are selling on Amazon, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could use this. I mean, before I get into the tactical, like what should we actually do, I usually back up a step and I say, what's your main objective here? What's your main goal? And so is it just to drive traffic? That's one goal. Is it to actually build a brand that people know, like, and trust, and then want to make a transaction with you? Or like what would be like, what's the main thing we're going after here?
So let me jump in and answer that question on behalf of my audience, because I have had experience with video as it pertains to landing accounts. So one of the things that's worked really well for me is I have a couple of videos on the website that explain our value propositions. And so that when we end up scheduling a discovery call with a prospective brand, usually they will have watched one or two or three of those videos beforehand. So at a bare minimum, I see great value in that. But as we went through your and I's consulting session the other day, I realized that there's also probably an opportunity to really become the dominant expert in a given niche for the Amazon reseller platform or the Amazon marketplace. So let's kind of go at it from that perspective. If the strategy was, hey, I've got this third-party seller and I want to make it easier for me to land accounts with key brands, how would YouTube help me to solve that problem?
Yeah, I think it comes down to what are the main things, like who's the target audience for this? So in that case, would the target audience be customers? Is the brand looking for like, oh, they have a big following and they can move a lot of merch for us? Or is it more like, I just want to know more about these people, who they are they credible, are they trustworthy? These are the type of people I would like to work with. Who would be the target audience for a channel like that?
It could be either, because a given third-party seller could say, "So I'm gonna go after the yoga niche." So they could make videos with an audience of yoga manufacturing companies where they're talking about marketing and they're talking about ways to get more traction for their products. And at the same time, they probably could have another channel where they're going after the yoga end customers. So they're kind of hitting two birds with one stone by getting on the radar screen of yoga manufacturers. Oh, and by the way, I have this big following, and that would really be the 1-2 punch in landing that type of an account.
Yeah, so we do multiple channels for people, or we recommend they do multiple channels if there is a different value proposition for a different target audience. So if the value proposition of the channel is aligned with the same target audience, and keep all the content on the same channel. But as soon as you start going after a different audience, if the goal, of course, is to grow the channel, like people sign up with an expectation. They're subscribing to like get a certain value. That's something for them, right? And then if the channel starts throwing in some videos that like are for them and other videos that aren't for them, before long people are just going to start filtering out your videos, and before long they're not watching much of anything. And so it's really important that the value proposition and the target audience are aligned. It sounds like what you're saying is that those are two different audiences that are looking for two different values, in which case I would probably have a separate channel for each of those and focus on whichever one whichever one meets my goals and objectives the best. It's really hard to grow multiple channels simultaneously without like a really big team behind you. It is more than twice as easy to just put all your focus, time, energy, and attention, resources on the one channel and just really blow that one up instead of trying to do two. It's very difficult. So I would pick one or the other.
Okay. So for the purposes of our discussion, let's say there's a third-party person in the room called my audience, and let's say they've decided, well, I'm going to build a channel for consumers of yoga products so that I have this reach, so that when I go to a yoga manufacturer and I say, hey, you should sign an exclusive deal with me where I'm the exclusive or co-exclusive seller of your products on the Amazon platform, I've got a pretty compelling argument because I've got this audience and I know that I can drive traffic immediately to their product listings. So
love it. Yeah.
Given that is the audience, now how are we going to grow that channel?
Yeah. So the first thing I would do is really nail down exactly who that target audience is that we're going after, and really getting that down to like a customer avatar. Presumably you've already done this as a part of your business, so that part's easy. The second part is then the value proposition of the channel, and presumably you've done this with your business as well. Like, what's the main value people get from our business, and what do they want to consume from us? So it's not just who is it for, but why should they care? And answering both of those questions very quickly for people on YouTube is important. It's not like television where someone will turn it on and lean back and give you a few minutes or something. You get like 5 seconds to quickly and clearly communicate and those things, and make the viewer feel like, yes, this is for me, and yes, this is value I want to consume. And so knowing how to articulate those very quickly and how you're going to present those visually on the channel and through your branding and everything, both of those two things are very important before you even jump into like content and things, because those are kind of the rails that keep the train running in the right direction, keep everything that help you gain momentum.
So let me jump in there with a question. Let's say that we are going after building a channel around people who are yogis. They like to do yoga. Would it be better to have a channel that talks about, like, what if I'm not a yoga well, actually, if I'm going after the yoga niche, I'm probably pretty passionate about yoga, so I probably know something about yoga. So there's kind of two ways in my mind this could work. One is I've got this channel that's about yoga and how to do better yoga and so forth, or I could have a channel, or my value prop could be we're reviewing products that would be purchased by people in yoga. Or could you kind of have both of those value props together? Like, one, I want to learn how to do better yoga, and two, I want to make sure that I buy the best products for yoga.
Yeah, I again kind of want to go like a layer deeper first of all, which is like not what do we do? Like, hey, subscribe to our channel because we review yoga products. Mm-hmm. Instead, you need to tap into the emotional thing. Like, why does the person care that you review yoga products? Like, what does that do for them? You know, and getting a little less in the what and a little bit more in the why. Now, you do need both. People need to cognitively understand what you're doing, but the thing that gets them to actually grow to love the brand and the channel and want to start watching every video you do is when you start making an emotional human connection with the person. And so I would want to push a little bit into like, so why does this target audience love yoga? What makes them so passionate? But what does it do for them? What's the thing that they actually want? What's the reward or the benefit they get from yoga? Rather than just telling people what you do, but tell them why you do it. And that's the first step in making a more emotional connection.
So let's use Grant Thompson, King of Random, who's a client of yours with 10 million subscribers.
Used to be a client, yeah.
Oh, used to be a client. Okay, so in his channel, what's the, like, I've watched his videos and they're like interesting, but what's the emotion now? Is the nature of what he's filming different, or is there an emotional thing that people are getting and that's why he's got 10 million subscribers? Yeah,
and for anyone who's not familiar with his channel, he basically does it's very much a guy-oriented, like science project type of channel, but it kind of more extreme, like where things blow up and stuff.
Yeah.
Not so much like technical things about compound structures or whatever. So what he does really well is he would be more on the entertainment side as opposed to the educational side of YouTube. And he's actually telling really good stories. And a story in the sense of like it creates a sense of intrigue right away, and then it makes you ask a question that your brain needs to have resolved, which is, what does happen if I splash dry ice onto my naked eyeball, right? Like, I've never thought of that before, And there's a thumbnail of like the dry ice splashing directly onto his eyeball. Right? Like, what happened? That's the question that gets people to click, watch all the way through, right? And so for him, like that video, for example, it was only shot on I think he shot it on his iPhone, like, and it's what, 15 million, 20 million views or whatever it is now. It's not because of how the production value, it's about the story value and the connection it made with people and the intrigue it created in someone's mind. So for him, I would say maybe on the entertainment side, it might be a little bit different, although you could certainly do an entertainment-based channel and integrate the products and things directly into the content itself too. But if you're doing like product reviews, for example, someone's going to watch your video, look and be like, oh, that was nice. I get it. I'll buy the thing now. And then they leave. It's good for getting a viewer maybe, but it's, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do product reviews, but it's not that great for growing a brand of people who are passionate. The strongest communities, online and offline, this applies everywhere, they don't revolve around common interests. They actually revolve around shared beliefs. And so if your brand revolves around this is what we do and why we do it, that's again, a first step to creating a more emotional connection with someone, and someone being like, yes, that's why I love yoga too. That's why I do yoga. That's what I'm all about. That's why this matters to me. And then connecting every review you do and every piece of content back to that belief, that creed in terms of branding is concerned.
Okay. So that is a great segue. Let's into kind of the tactics part. And this is something that, again, going back to the consulting call that you and I did, where I think I was making all sorts of mistakes. So let's assume at this point in the discussion now that we've figured out who our avatar is. We know who our target audience is. We understand their pain. We understand our value propositions. So we're all set. Ready, go. So
yes.
Let's dive into the tactics of step 1, step 2, step 3 in getting our channel set up. Once that's done, then how are we shooting videos and making, how are we getting editing looked after and so forth?
Yep. Step 1 is to then start like an ideation process of how can we best deliver this value to someone in our target audience. And so maybe it's like, hey, we do product reviews, and then we could do maybe testimonials, maybe interviews with people who love yoga, right? It's actually not. I would recommend not making it all about the products. Make it about the people, the belief, the lifestyle, especially in yoga. Like it would include everything from like eating and health and fitness to everything. So let's talk like what we want to attract people who are all about this lifestyle. And so come with a couple of different show maybe ideas, and then the second step, number 2, is to go on YouTube and actually search for those types of things and see, oh, here's a few channels that are already doing this idea and it doesn't look like it's working for them, right? Or here's some people that are doing a really good job and it is working with them. What do they seem to be doing in every video and with their brand and channel overall that does seem to making this work well for them? And so the goal here is to just not copy necessarily, but just learn a lot. Just do a lot of recon research and figure out what principles do we need to take and make sure we apply. Wow, all the ones that are doing really well, they all have a female host who wears the yoga uniform, right? As opposed to this person is just like we hear voiceover, but we never get to see the person, and those types of videos don't seem to be doing as well. They're just all about the product. So principle number 1 is we need to make sure that we have an actual person who's going to represent what our brand is about. That's going to be the person that people are going to connect to. I just made that up. I don't know if that's true or not, but you get the idea of like doing all that research. You start getting those types of principles. And then step number 3 is, all right, let's do a few pilots of these. And the goal here isn't to make a fabulous video that's going to get millions of views. It's just like, let's get our SOPs, our processes down. What's it going to look like for us to script a video or outline a video, get it props and everything we need, and get things shot and edited. And when you're first starting out, like that's just like anything in life, and your first few times to do it, it's just a little bit cumbersome and you're kind of feeling your way in the dark a little bit. And so the process here is just to figure out how are we going to make these videos? What's the process going to look like? What's going to work for us and our time restraints and our resources? And then just, I would say, make 5 of them. And you can publish those 5 on your channel. And then look at some of the data around it. But I want to come back to the structure I would recommend people follow when they make their content. But that would be the next step, is just kind of like just get that process down and then keep you reevaluating how you do that. Otherwise, like every video is going to end up different and it's going to be hard to consistently deliver the value that people want. And so I know, Trent, you're a firm believer in those processes, but that would be the next step after that part. Yeah.
By the way, so good segue. Do you want to talk about what you're developing for the Flowster platform?
Yeah, we will be putting together some YouTube SOPs in terms of how to like do some research. I forget exactly where the ones were. Let me look them up here real quick. We said We're going to do one about like the process of creating a video, the structure of a video, how to optimize videos, and a few other ones as well. We're going to put all that into the Flowster app.
So stay tuned, folks. Those will be available to Flowster users in the relatively near future.
Yeah.
So let me jump in with some more questions, because I know that I had gone off on my own before consulting with you and watching YouTube videos and watching some other channel people and getting the TubeBuddy tool. And I was thinking about, okay, so everything's about keywords. I'm going to get eyes on my video, because I just got to focus on keywords, and I have to look at how much demand is there for this keyword and how much competition is there for this keyword. And I was super keyword focused. And you kind of got me thinking that maybe that wasn't necessarily the best approach. So do you want to talk through, because I don't want the people that are watching this to make that same mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, that keyword approach is kind of left over from older SEO days. It's been many, many years since YouTube has looked at keyword matching as a part of how they surface results. It's more now based on user intent. So, which means like if I search for Billboard Top 100, I might get music videos, right? No keyword correlation there, but you can see how that's a relevant result for someone who's looking for Billboard Top 100, or vice versa. And so the way the system works is actually it's what ranks and positions videos is not what keywords you use. It's all about viewer signals that Google collects and YouTube collects from people who are watching. And some of the things they're looking for is, when we surface this video, do people click and watch it in the first place? So that is like title and thumbnail. And so how do you get someone to click? How do you optimize that? Well, it's based on optimizing for, and this is the overarching principle, is optimize for humans, not for robots. Right? So it's like, if a person saw that title A versus title B, which would they click? Well, title B might have all your keywords perfectly aligned in there, but title A is actually a more clickable title. I saw a perfect example of this the other day with a client. They were reviewing toilet paper brands, actually. And the title had none of the toilet paper brands in the title, none of those keywords. The title is something like why you should give a crap or something like along. If I could look it up and get the exact, but it was something like along that lines. And it was a thumbnail of her face in a big pile of, like, kind of poking out of a big pile of different toilet paper brands, right? And so she had none of her keywords. She didn't have toilet paper in the title. Wasn't even in there, like one of the main keywords you think. But the video is doing incredibly well for her because it makes you smile when you see that. Like, you're like, oh, I never even thought about what's the best toilet paper brand before, or whatever, And so people click because of the thumbnail clearly has toilet paper in it, and the title is a really good like human pitch for it. And so people click, and YouTube quickly figures out that, hey, when people are looking for toilet paper reviews, like if they type in toilet paper reviews, a high percentage of them click on this video. This video must be about toilet paper reviews. And so they'll just surface it for that thing, right? So that's kind of the way to think about it more. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use keywords. The value of keywords is, again, not from a robot perspective or an algorithm perspective, is, again, the human perspective, which is in language, we use words that represent things for us, right? And so if someone's searching for a certain word, they expect often to see that word associated with that content. Like it makes it clear to the viewer that this video is about that thing. And so it kind of makes it more likely to click. But it's not because you repeated toilet paper 5 times in the title, description, and tags. And so YouTube's like, whoa, they said that a lot. It must be about this thing now. Because a lot of people lie in their metadata. I mean, YouTube learned a long time ago we can't trust people based on what they put. Like, someone just starts putting PewDiePie in their tags, so they think that if, like, hey, now my video is going to be positioned next to PewDiePie's videos and I'm going to get a lot of it doesn't work that way. People lie. They use misleading metadata all the time. And so YouTube bases it on viewer signals. So the principle is optimize for people, not for robots.
So an example of that, and this comes from your and I's call, I produced a video called How to Create an Instagram Following. And the reason that I had created that video is because we have a free Flowster SOP that we had created by going out and doing research on various influencers who had come up with proven strategies for creating an Instagram following. And of course, because I was overly focused on keywords, I titled it, how to create an Instagram following. And when you looked at my channel, which is really about Amazon selling, you're like, well, this doesn't really fit with this. But Trent, what if you change the title to say, how to avoid the ever-increasing costs of Amazon pay-per-click by building a following on Instagram? Same video, slightly different title, slightly different thumbnail. So now that when someone comes to my channel homepage for the first time, it's glaringly obvious to them that all of my videos are about succeeding on Amazon. And if that's their goal, of course, they're going to think, oh, well, I got to subscribe to this, which is the goal. And I'm positioning that video for humans because someone who is thinking about, wow, man, my Amazon costs are going through the roof, and they're randomly browsing on YouTube for whatever it is they're doing. YouTube probably knows they're kind of interested in Amazon-related content, so they're going to surface those videos to that particular user. Would that be a reasonable assumption? And then when that user, that human being, sees that thumbnail and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's something I got to watch. Does that kind of how it works?
Yeah, that's the real power of YouTube is like on Google, like someone's got to type in something to search. Like you don't just go to YouTube or to google.com to browse. There's nothing to browse, right? And in fact, Google does their job if you're on their platform no longer than like 5 to 7 seconds or something. But on YouTube, it's the exact opposite. You go to like the homepage of YouTube is just littered with videos. You have lots of things you could look at. And people are just in browsing mode there. And so when Google starts feeling confident about who your videos are for and starts seeing that when this specific type of person really interacts and engages with this channel for the first time, they get sucked in and they spend an extra 30 minutes on YouTube, for example, then YouTube's just going to start pushing your videos like in front of the right people. You're just going to end up being suggested. You end up on the homepage, and you don't have to do a thing when Google knows like, okay, the content from this channel is for this type of person, like an Amazon seller, and we know they're an Amazon seller because they searched for this, or they look for that, or they watch these other videos, or they tend to get engaged in this type of stuff. Here's Trent's channel. They never heard of Trent before, but we know that when this audience connects with Trent, they love it. And so then they just start pushing those videos in front of you. Like, it's awesome. Like we had one client we worked with who was doing okay with a few thousand subscribers a day. They were, growing. But when we really leverage this principle of like honing in on the exact audience and helping Google feel confident with who this audience was, his videos started going to the homepage for people who weren't subscribers. And he went from doing about 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers a day to 30,000 and 40,000 subscribers per day. Right?
Wow.
He blew past that 2 million subscriber count mark on his channel, and now he tells everyone he knows about me, which I'm thankful for. But yeah, but that's the power of like, don't focus on search. Search is powerful. Like I'm not downplaying that, but I'm focusing instead on like, how do we optimize these for people so that when Google surfaces it to the right video, they just click, they watch, they engage, and that has to do more with content optimization actually. And so like you can get someone to click and watch, but if they quickly abandon your video, that's a negative signal to Google too. That makes your videos less likely to be surfaced. So we're going to talk through that structure if you want. But
we're going to dive into that in a second, but I just want to summarize this. So what I'm hearing you say is YouTube makes more money the longer people watch videos. So if your channel is good at making people watch more videos, YouTube, in their own selfish interest, is going to say, hey, we're going to promote the heck out of this guy's channel for this audience because he makes them watch videos more than all the other people. And as a result, you get more subscribers and you get more views.
Yes. Now, there is an inherent problem for Amazon sellers because most of you, I assume, want to get people off of YouTube and onto Amazon to buy something, right? Mm-hmm. And so if your videos, let's say you have a video and it's very successful at doing that, and it does a really good job at ending the viewer's session and getting them off of YouTube, YouTube's not going to surface that video that much, right? So it's kind of like you're shooting yourself in the foot to make – not shooting yourself, but you get what I mean. Like it's not an effective way to grow your channel if you are ending the viewing session for people getting over to Amazon. So we can come back to that too, about how to maybe approach that in a few different ways. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's kind of go down that rabbit hole, because before I answered that or asked that question, you talked about it's really important the way you structure your content so that people don't watch for 3 or 4 seconds and leave. So let's talk about content structure, because number one, we don't want them to click the thumbnail and then leave, because that's a super bad signal for the algorithm. And then what you just said, number two, is, as much as I'm trying to build an audience of yogis and I need to get them on an email list, or I need to get them to subscribe, maybe I don't need to get them on an email list. Maybe just a channel subscription is enough. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to build an audience that I can then monetize by selling them stuff on Amazon. So let's deal with those two parts of content structure.
Yeah, there's a few different ways to do that. So let's talk about the video first. And so what we've talked about so far is you need a really good, enticing title and thumbnail. It doesn't matter how amazing your video is if no one's enticed to click on it in the first place, right? Yep. So after you click, then we have to hook this person's attention and get them to keep watching. How do we do that? So what you shouldn't do is what most people do. I think we even talked about this a little bit in our session, Trent, and it's very common because most people, they're familiar with television, and so they just kind of like bring over to YouTube what they're used to seeing on TV, and it doesn't work on YouTube. They're very different platforms with different the viewer has different expectations for the content. One's an active experience, one's a passive experience, right? So they're very, very different. We can't do the same thing. So the very first thing that needs to happen in that video is you need is a hook that viewer's attention, and that could be by further teasing the story that they clicked on, or whatever expectation the title and thumbnail set. That hook needs to affirm for the viewer that, yes, what you clicked expecting to get is coming in this video. Now, that does not mean like just repeating basically what they just clicked on. Mm-hmm. Like, so in your example,
like
how
the mistake I was making.
Yeah, like how to like create an Instagram following and stuff. And then you open the video saying, today we're going to tell you how to grow an Instagram following. People are like, yeah, I already got that. It's better to instead like continue the conversation, like they clicked on how to grow an Instagram following. So now the video is like, this is what happened to my Amazon selling whatever when I grew my Instagram account. And look at this number. Here's the number before. Here's the number after. And today I want to show you exactly how I did that so that you can do the same. Maybe something like that, right?
Yep.
And so you're showing visuals, but the more importantly is you're not just telling people what you're going to teach them, but you're telling them in the hook why they should care. What's in this for me? What am I going to get? And from an educational content, if it's entertainment, then you're teasing the story. Like, oh, what does happen if you splash in that? Or like, what does that reunion between that mother and daughter look like? There's always that what does the character want, and why can't they have it? What's at stake if they don't have it, don't get it, and how do they end up getting it, and how's the transformation happen at the end? That's more of a story, which we can totally apply to educational content. But coming back to the hook, it's like how do you hook their attention? Give it like 10, 15 seconds, focus on that. Then the next thing you can show is some branding if you like, but the point of the branding is like the branded intro is to quickly pitch your value proposition to someone in your targeted audience and connect that with your brand. It's not necessarily just to be like, hey, I have this fancy logo and it can do a fun flip and a spin and here it is, right? That doesn't offer additional value. So that intro should be no longer than 5 seconds. 3 seconds is ideal, but anything longer than 5, you're going to start seeing audience abandonment on that video. So then after that, that's when you can welcome people and introduce yourself if you like. Hey, I'm Trent, welcome. We're all about helping you guys grow your Amazon. I forget the language you use, but
third-party seller business.
Yeah, and it's the what and the why. So we help you Amazon. We help you with Amazon. That's the what, and then the why, so you can grow your business and live the life of your dreams or whatever. All right. So you can pitch that real quick, so people understand the brand overall, and then get right into delivering the actual thing someone clicked it wanting to get. Like, what's the actual value of the content? Get into that, or the story if it's more narrative based or something. And then at the end of the video, what you need to do is, unlike television, where you're going to say, well, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think. Comment below. subscribe, see you guys next time. It's great hanging out. Like, don't give any signals to the viewer that this video is over. You may now safely abandon this content, because as soon as you give any signal like that, they're out. They're gone. And you'll see in your audience retention graphs and YouTube analytics, it just drops. People leave right there. So what you want to do instead is, unlike TV, where that show might be over, people are saying goodbye because the next show is starting. That isn't true on YouTube. People can keep watching more and more videos on your channel, and that's exactly what you want them to do in order to grow this. And so instead, you're like maybe the Instagram video, for example. It's like this. Now, the next thing you need to know is how to do this on Facebook, too. Instagram is great, but I put together a short playlist for you guys, only 4 videos. You can click right here on your screen, and you're like pointing to that space where that video is going to be. You can click right here on your screen to really dive into how to reproduce these same results with Facebook and Pinterest and LinkedIn and all the other platforms. So click there, and I'll see you in the next video. That's it. And so those end screens are there. It's a clickable, interactive area of the video where people can click to get onto that next video. And coming to back to the sales tactic of if you talk about the product or service from the perspective as if the customer has already made the purchase, they're much more likely picture themselves with that product and make the transaction. That's what we're doing. So we're not giving the viewer permission to abandon our content. We're saying, let's keep going, and you give a little pitch for the next video, and they get into it. Or if it's narrative content, it's like maybe a quick, highly cut trailer for the next video you want someone to watch with a little arrow that says watch here or something. And the goal is to get them into that next video, into the next video, and that next video, and that's going to be like one of the most positive signals for Google. Like, hey, if we show this video to someone, they spend another 13 minutes on YouTube, as opposed to like this other guy's video, they leave right away. So let's show this first guy's, right? So that's kind of the structure of how to format your content.
So for someone who is starting out new, they don't have a lot of playlists, they don't have a lot of content yet, how do they deal with the end of the video problem?
I would say, coming back to what we said earlier, plan out 5 to 8, 10 videos or so in the very beginning before you've even uploaded anything. And just once you get into, you'll have those 10 videos or 5 videos, whatever it is, before you even start or upload, or I should say, technically, before you publish anything on the channel. You can upload them, but you also need a regular posting schedule. It's really helpful, just like television, so people know when to come back to watch your latest episode. And so if you start your channel with 5 episodes already in the can, then you're 5 weeks ahead. That gives you some buffer to now learn and create new content based on the lessons you're learning from the videos you already published. So at least you have those 5 videos that can all interact with each other.
So I had heard that it's really important when you upload a video within the first 24 hours to get views. Let's say I'm trying to bank up some videos. Can I upload them all and keep them private or unlisted and then release them later on, and I'm not penalizing myself? So I can basically store them. The 24-hour clock's not ticking yet because they're not public yet, or is that rule? Is that just a myth?
Well, there's a few different ways to approach that, but to answer the first question, yes, you can upload them all, keep them unlisted or private or whatever you need to do. The clock starts ticking when the video goes public. Okay. So it's when you publish it. That's when the clock starts ticking. Now, the other part of that, though, is first 24 to 48 hours are most important. That does seem like it's a technical thing that's true. Google's getting very quickly some signals that, hey, a lot of people love this video. And so that's one of the value of having subscribers, because as soon as you publish a video, you potentially have an audience of people who are just waiting for that next piece of content, and they're there to watch it right away if they have enabled notifications and all that kind of stuff. However, I don't usually focus too much on that, because that is true, but it's also just as true that a video can sit dormant on your channel for a year or two and then take off. Because YouTube is, and it happens for me multiple times as well. It's because YouTube is constantly changing. There's 500-600 hours of video content uploaded every single minute. And so it's just like YouTube is constantly experimenting and testing like the click-through rates and the viewing sessions and all that, like always testing. And so like we had a video on my family's channel. We're Dave Ramsey people. We've been debt-free for over 10 years. And so we did our debt-free scream on video, uploaded to YouTube, and I got, a few thousand views or something at that time. This was, 12, 10, 11 years ago at this point. Didn't get a whole lot of traction. But then another very popular family on YouTube uploaded a video of their debt-free scream, also going through Dave Ramsey stuff, and their video got tons of traction. Well, our video then became the next suggested recommended video for people to watch after that. And all of a sudden, our video that was flat just took off, right? So I don't usually dig into this 24 to 48 hour thing just because it gets people's minds start focusing on algorithm stuff more so than like human stuff. But the principle, there is merit to that. But just because it falls flat in 48 hours, it doesn't mean that your video is dead and it was a waste of time necessarily.
What about the YouTube community tab? I've been messing around with it, and I've got 32,000 odd subscribers on my channel that I've accumulated over a period of probably 6 or 7 years, and there's not much going. The community's kind of a ghost town, to be honest with you.
On your channel specifically?
Yeah, mine specifically. So I'm wondering, is it just a ghost town on everyone's channel, or is it I'm not using it properly, or what have you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very effective tool for people who have an engaged audience. So if your audience doesn't care about you, I'm trying to be nice, like then
don't forget remember my channel, I'd lost access. It's a whole long story, but basically I wasn't uploading videos for like 6 years to this channel, and it was one video that's been watched millions of times where all these subscribers came from. Right.
Yeah, and a lot of those subscribers are very old, and you post something and like, who is this? Like, I don't remember subscribing to this channel, right? So, yeah, but it can be a great way to interact between pieces of content throughout the week. You can post pictures there. You can post polls. You can ask questions. You can share other people's content. Whatever is valuable, or even on your own content too. Whatever is valuable to your audience. Some people make like little GIFs of their upcoming video and tease it out by posting those as animated GIF images on their community tab to kind of build some hype for that next video that's coming.
Okay, so the short answer is pay attention to the community tab.
Yeah, and if people aren't engaging, it's probably more of a branding thing of how do people. What's the emotional connection you're building with your audience? That's probably the bigger question.
Yep. And in my case, that makes sense because back when that first video that got all those millions of views, it really didn't have anything to do with Amazon. It was just like how to start a business. Yeah. Now the channel's all branded about Amazon. The content I put up is about Amazon. So it's understandable that, just because I want to start a business doesn't mean I want to start an Amazon business. So there's kind of a disconnect. Because I didn't have a good strategy.
Totally. Yeah. So the other thing then is like, how do we actually get traffic to Amazon or to our email list or wherever when YouTube wants us to keep people on YouTube and not send them away?
Yep.
So let me go through a few of these pretty quickly, and there's no right or wrong. You can mix and match these or whatever works best for you. One is, this is what most people do, is you can just kind of bite the bullet and be like, well, the goal of every video is to send people away from YouTube, so that's what I'm going to do. And if that means I don't get as much traffic as a result of it, that's the way it is, because it's more important to me that I generate sales than it is that I get traffic. I personally think it's a little bit of a short-sighted approach. You're kind of like killing the goose for the sake of the one golden egg. But that is certainly a valid way to do it, and a lot of people do that. And they just kind of bank on the fact that like a small percentage of the people will actually click through. A second way to do it is to focus on growing the channel and growing the brand, and that people love what you're all about and who you are, and those types of things we've talked about. But and focusing on using the channel more for that than actual conversions. And so, but you do get conversions. The way it works is that you basically treat your YouTube channel the way most people treat their email funnel, which is you have in an email world, you have like a lead magnet that someone signs up to get this free thing. In YouTube world, we call that discoverable content. Then people get maybe a series of like 3, 4, 5, whatever emails that are just like growing the know, like, and trust factors that are intended to, introduce who you are, what you're all about, get people to, and start teasing a problem that your audience has that you're going to lead to eventually that email sequence goes to a sale, which is, okay, we've been talking about this, you know me, you like me, you trust me, you understand the problem, and here's the solution. And then so you're publishing all these emails without ever once asking for a sale or even trying to capitalize, because you're leading up towards that final email in the sequence, which is asking for the sale. And that's where you capitalize on it because of the know, like, and trust factors and the credibility you built in the previous emails. Doing the same thing on YouTube. So you have your discoverable content. The goal of a discoverable video is to go out, grab a new audience, people who've never heard of you before. They only click because of the merit the title and the thumbnail pitched, and they're like, I need this in my life, and so they click and watch. And the goal of that video is to get people to watch another video, like we talked about.
Yep.
Then you have your community videos, which are kind of like your know, like, and trust factor emails in the email sequence. And these are videos that are not intended to go big. They're just intended to reach the existing subscriber base you already have. So in like a week or so, that video will pass through people's subscription fees and you should no longer be getting any views, because the only people who care about that are probably the people who care about you and your brand. And maybe it's content that be like, whoa, I wouldn't have even thought to search for that. Or even I didn't even know that was a thing. That's why I'm so glad I'm subscribed to your channel, because you're providing value I don't even know I need, right? So those are like community-based videos. And then you have sales videos. It's the third category of content. And this is when you capitalize on the audience that the discoverable videos brought in, and that the relationship and the trust that the community videos built. And now you're asking for like the sale or the transaction, or really anytime you want to get people off of YouTube, whether that be to your email list or to a product or a sign up or whatever the case might be. So I just published one of those yesterday, actually, on my channel, where I have YouTube has like a membership thing built in, a paid membership thing built into your channels for
I noticed that on your channel. I had never seen that before.
Yeah, there's a join button next to the subscribe button, and people can pay $4.99 a month and get access to special exclusive content and things and perks and things like that. And so one of the perks I have is I pretty regularly, I would say at least once a month, publish I just sit down and spend like 45 minutes to an hour just diving deep into a topic. And so in this past month, I published a training video on how to accelerate your channel growth by using the tactics that almost every top creator is using, but most creators I work with aren't using. So it's like a really big missed opportunity. And so diving in how to do that. And so when that video is available enough for my members, I have my editor publish, like, it's usually 45 seconds to a minute trailer for that whole training. That's the sales video. And at the end, the call to action is click that join button, become a member, and you get instant access to this entire in-depth training, plus all the other ones that are in the archive there. And so then I can capitalize on it that way. Now, in that case, to my benefit, because I'm actually not even ending the viewing session and keeping people on YouTube because I'm using their tool in that case. But if I'm getting people on my email list or getting people to buy a product, or my new course just opened or something, I make a video and say, hey, registration is now open, blah, 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 that same process. So there's that process. And then the final process is a lot of people use, and this works probably especially well for Amazon people more so than others, is you just set up a whole bunch of remarketing campaigns on YouTube. And so you're growing your channel organically by not ending the viewing session. But now like, hey, show this ad to anyone who's watched 3 of my videos and subscribed and commented or something, right? And so you get really particular of like, these are my diehard audience, show them this ad. Or someone who's just watched me for the first time, show them this ad. And you can follow them. You guys know how remarketing works. You can follow them around YouTube with with ad campaigns. And so so basically your ad cost goes way down because of that, because of the organic traffic you're getting on your channel.
All right. I think we could probably keep talking for some time yet, but we're 49 minutes deep, Tim, and I'm sure you're running up on a hard stop, and I know I am. So you'd mentioned courses and training and so forth. I know you do offer a couple of things. What's the easiest, single, best way if someone's been watching this and like, I need to get me some more of Tim's stuff? Where do they go?
Yeah, you used to go to videocreators.com, and I have a bunch of lead magnets there you can check out in courses. We do an 8-week session course with me and my team of strategists that just walk you through the same YouTube growth strategy process that we use with Disney, HBO, Warner Brothers, eBay, Budweiser, like all these top brands that we've done strategy for. It's the same process, and it works beautifully, very predictable and reproducible. So check that out. Or if you just want a lot more free content on how to grow your YouTube audience and podcasts, just search for Video Creators, or check out videos at youtube.com/video creators.
All right, cool. Tim, thank you so much for making some time to come be on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.